Dear students, here we are going to discuss about fatty acid oxidation. The fatty acid oxidation process actually discovered long ago, maybe 100 years back, by German scientist Franz Nu in 1904. It's very interesting that his observation was very much clear, and he observed that fatty acids are oxidized in our body or degraded in our body by gradually detaching two carbon at a time, or one acetyl CoA unit is cut off from the existing fatty acid chain, and thereby it is oxidized in the form of acetyl CoA and ultimately through TCA cycle and respiratory chain oxidation. So what he did is very importantly, he fed the dog by phenyl propionate, a propionic acid, 3 carbon residue fatty acid, and also phenyl butyrate, 4 carbon fatty acid compounds, and ultimately collected the urine samples of the dog and found that benzoic acid and phenyl acetate is present in the urine samples. He postulated that fatty acids are actually cut it off by 2 units carbon at a time. The problem with this scientific observation was no evidence at that time, and people just does not accept his theory. But after many years, when actually the metabolism study was scientifically done by the help of the carbon tracing and other metabolic endpoints, it was proved to be the same thing, and now we came to know how the fatty acids are oxidized, different type of fatty acids are oxidized. So we are going to learn today the oxidation of fatty acids. The oxidation of fatty acids actually mainly occur known as beta oxidation, but there are some other way of oxidation of fatty acid as well, alpha as well as omega oxidation. We'll also discuss about that. Before a fatty acid is oxidized, it needs to be activated in the cytosol, because fatty acids are actually available in the cytosols, and these fatty acids, after being activated, needs to be transported into the mitochondria, because the fatty acid oxidation occurs within the mitochondria of the cells. So fatty acids transported in blood as free fatty acids from the tissues coated with albumin. So this way the fatty acids stored in different adipose tissues are transported through the blood in the form of free fatty acids. Rather, it is a non-esterified fatty acids bound with albumin and came to the liver, where it has to be further oxidized to give rise to energy. Now, long-chain fatty acid mainly required the transporter through the mitochondrial membrane. This transporter is known as carnitine transporters. But for the medium chain and short chain fatty acids, they can directly go into the mitochondria for the oxidation. So what happens in this step? This carnitine shuttle is present in the mitochondrial membrane. This is the outer and this is the inner membrane, mitochondrial. Now free fatty acid first is acted on by the acyl CoA synthetase. This is the help of ATP and CoA. The ATP, two energy of ATP is actually utilized. ATP is converted to AMP in this step. You can find it, and PPI is ultimately produced, along with fatty acid is converted to fatty acyl CoA. Activated fatty acid is transported through the membrane by carnitine palmitoyl transferase 1 enzyme from outside to the inside, and carnitine is there. The carrier protein converts and attached to that particular fatty acyl CoA to form acyl carnitine. This acyl carnitine is now further transported inside the mitochondria through the inner membrane by carnitine, acyl carnitine transferase translocase enzyme, and thereby acyl carnitine is taken inside the mitochondrial matrix and carnitine is again released back to the mitochondria. It is an antipode through which the carnitine again is available within in the mitochondria membrane space to act on the another fatty acids. Now here acyl carnitine further is converted back to acyl CoA and carnitine is released. So this is done by another enzyme, carnitine palmitoyl transferase 2. So with the help of this, the fatty acyl CoA, which was outside the mitochondrial membrane in the cytosol, activated and transported inside the mitochondria for further oxidation. Next, please. Now here we can go through, have an overview of beta oxidation. So beta oxidation of fatty acids involves successive cleavage with release of acetyl CoA. That I have already told you, 2 carbon at a time is released from the oxidation procedures. So here 2 carbons cleaved at a time from acyl CoA molecules starting at carboxyl end. Here is the carboxyl end where this 2 carbon unit is cutted between alpha and beta, and one acetyl CoA is released. The chain is broken between alpha, that means the second, and the third carbon from the carboxyl end. Thereby 2 carbon units formed as acetyl CoA, and this successive acetyl CoA is cleaved. The palmitoyl CoA forms 8 acetyl CoA molecules. Thereby palmitoyl CoA, which is a 16 carbon fatty acid, is converted by this process into 8 acetyl CoA molecule. The cyclic reaction sequence generate FADH2 and NADH. So these are the reducing equivalents. They are produced, which further channelized into the respiratory chain for oxidation, final oxidation and production of ATPs. So reaction occurs in the mitochondrial matrix involving several enzymes collectively known as fatty acid oxidases. Next, please. So here is the fatty acids are linked to coenzyme A before they are activated, as I have already told you, and the fatty acid acyl synthetase enzyme is very much important here. To energy of 2 ATPs are utilized. Here 1 ATP is converted to AMP, and these activated fatty acids are further taken up through the cycle or successive cleaving and releasing several number of acetyl CoA. Next. Now, steps of beta oxidation. If you just look into the beta oxidation, the first step is the oxidation step. Here, the acyl CoA, the activated fatty acid, is oxidized or cleaved, thereby by an enzyme known as acyl CoA dehydrogenase. Acyl CoA dehydrogenase is makes it converted to trans delta 2 enoyl CoA. There I can mention here 3 types of acyl CoA dehydrogenase is actually available. within the mitochondria, one for short chain, one for medium chain, and another set for long chain fatty acids. So different types of fatty acid oxidases are available. Now this trans delta 2 enoyl CoA actually they are further hydration is there in this step. A water molecule is taken up, and by which there is hydroxylation and 3 hydroxyl CoA, hydroxyacyl CoA is formed. So one hydroxyl group is introduced here, and there is another step of oxidation, final step of oxidation, which gives rise to synthesis of ketoacyl CoA, and this ketoacyl CoA is ultimately acted on by enzyme thiolysis, and this thiolase actually cut the existing chain and detached 2 units carbon, that means acetyl CoA, from the existing chain, and this chain again goes for further oxidation cycle. So this way several steps of cycle goes on, and thereby releasing number of acetyl CoA as per the chain length. In case of palmityl CoA, it is actually clipped up to 8 acetyl CoA units. Next, please. Now see what are the energetics. Very important. A fatty acid oxidation gives us lot of energy. So how we can calculate? So here is the bioenergetics. The beta oxidation yield, I have told you, 106 ATP from 1 palmitate. How? We just see how it is produced. Every steps give rise to 1 acetyl CoA. So 8 acetyl CoA, and through this acetyl CoA, one acetyl CoA, when going through the TCA cycle, give rise to 12 ATPs. So that way you can calculate this much of ATP. 96 ATPs are produced from this 8 acetyl CoA. 7 FADH2 produced here, and this 7 FADH2 gives rise to 14 ATPs, as well as 7 NADH is also produced, which gives rise to 3 ATP each, so that means 21 ATP. So that means altogether we have 131 ATPs. And these 131 ATP are produced. Instead, we have 2 ATPs already utilized in the final step, in the first step of the beta oxidation, where acyl 5-fatty acid is converted to acyl CoA, where 2 ATPs are utilized already. So 129 ATP are produced from beta oxidation of a palmitic acid. So that is the whole reaction here. Palmityl CoA plus 7 FAD plus 7 H2O plus 7 HSCOA plus 7 NAD, actually that has not been written here, 8 acetyl CoA, 7 NADH, FADH2, 7 NADH plus 7 H plus. So that is the bioenergetics of palmitate. That is as per the old theory. If you apply modern theory, 2.5 ATPs are produced for one NADH, and 1.5 ATPs are produced from one FADH2. So thereby you can calculate how much ATPs are produced as per the modern theory through the mitochondrial respiratory chain. Next, please. Now here the oxidation of the odd chain fatty acids. So far we have discussed about the palmitic acid oxidation, which is oxidation of the even chain saturated fatty acid. Here even chain odd chain fatty acid have an interesting metabolic cycle. The same way fatty acids are oxidized in case of odd chain, but the last 3 carbon units, which is propionyl CoA, is produced, and this propionyl CoA is a very interesting intermediates, which is the only part of the fatty acids which can be converted to glucose, or it is a gluconeogenic substrate. So odd chain, last propionic part of the odd chain fatty acid is a substrate for gluconeogenesis. How this propionyl CoA is converted to first methyl malonyl CoA, and then this methyl malonyl CoA is further converted to dimethyl malonyl CoA is further converted to L-methyl malonyl CoA by enzyme mutage, and then this L-methyl malonyl CoA is converted to succinyl CoA. And these steps requires vitamin B12, and this succinyl CoA ultimately can be integrated into the TCA cycle to give rise to glucose, because it can be utilized in the gluconeogenesis pathway. So that is the interesting point about the metabolism of odd chain fatty acids. Next. Beta oxidation in case of unsaturated fatty acids is still a little bit more complicated. So, in case of unsaturation, you have this type of double bond. This double bond may be a cis or a trans. Now, you have already seen a trans double bond is required to be introduced in the existing chain through the beta oxidation. So, whenever there is a cis double bond, that has to be converted to trans-enoyl CoA by enzyme isomerase. So, isomerase enzyme helps in this case, and that is further oxidized through the same beta oxidation. But whenever there is a double bond, that can be overcome through another way by reductase enzyme, and in this case the double bond is ultimately reduced to saturated one, and thereafter again goes through the same degradation pathway. So in both the case, energy of one NADH or is required to be lost. In case of isomerase enzyme, the first step of the beta oxidation is missing, so energy of one FADH3 is also lost. So somehow in both the case, energy of the first step beta oxidation is missing, so you will get a less energy in comparison to a saturated fatty acid chain. So this is a very interesting thing that you can go through, study, and if you can't understand in the interactive classes, I will make you further discuss about these particular steps. Next, please. Now, there are two other type of oxidation, three other type of oxidation also happens. One is known as alpha oxidation. In case of alpha oxidation, the removal of one carbon at a time from the carboxylic end. This is important process actually occurs in brain. Fatty acid do not require activation here. It occurs in the endoplasmic reticulum. This process does not generate any energy. Why it is important? Done by de novo monooxygenase, which contains iron, ferrous iron, as well as vitamin C is required here, mainly required for fatty acid with methyl group branch chain at the beta carbon, and where there is a methyl group, that has to be cleaved by the alpha oxidation pathway. And here, in case of example like phytanic acid, it has to be digested by this alpha oxidation pathway. The Refsum disease is a disease occurs due to error in the alpha hydroxylase group of fatty acid enzyme required for the alpha oxidation. So they give rise to accumulation of phytanic acids in the tissue, causing neurological disorders. So this is important.
to know that Refsum disease is a disorders due to lack of this particular enzyme, alpha hydroxylase, and the complete combustion of the fatty acids containing methyl and the carboxylane. Now, omega oxidation is a very minor pathway, takes place in the microsomes. The methyl group is converted here to first hydroxyl and then carboxyl group, produce dicarboxylic acid. Like dicarboxylic aciduria is found when there is excess of omega oxidation. Another type of very important fatty acid oxidation is the paroxysmal oxidation of fatty acid. This paroxysmal oxidation of fatty acids is important for the metabolism of very long chain fatty acids, which is more than 20 carbon fatty acids, like eicosapentaenoic acid, 320, 5 double bonds, docosahexaenoic acid, C22, 6 double bonds. So, fairly, they are actually partially oxidized to smaller or 618 carbon groups in the paroxysm, produce H2O2 here, but no energy is actually generated. This causes the very long chain fatty acids to be converted to some of the shorter chain fatty acids or long chain fatty acids, which can now further be taken into mitochondria for beta oxidation. So deficiency of this paroxysmal oxidation leads to naturally different type of disorders, which is a sex-linked disorders, adrenoleukodystrophy. Then this is a sex-linked disease also seen in Zollinger syndrome. So these are the diseases actually associated with this type of defect in the paroxysmal oxidation of fatty acid. Next, please. The fatty acid oxidation is very important by a cycle in pathway which gives us lot of energy, and simultaneously when we are in fasting condition, a considerable energy comes from this oxidation of fatty acids. Now, if there is defect in the oxidation, this type of different organic aciduria is produced, like methylmalonic aciduria. As you know, the defective enzyme deficiency of methylmalonyl-CoA. Propionic aciduria, propionyl-CoA carboxylase deficiency leads to this type of aciduria. Now, MCADH deficiency, medium chain fatty acyl-CoA deficiency is very important. Medium chain acyl-CoA dehydrogenase deficiency is very common, and this gives rise to syndrome known as SIDS, or sudden infant death syndrome. 1 in 10,000 live births occur. What happens here? The medium chain fatty acids, which is mainly present in the mother's milk, require to be digested properly with the help of this medium chain fatty acids. If there is any deficiency of this type of medium chain fatty acid in the baby, it certainly suffers from this SIDS, or sudden infant death syndrome, because they thrive for nutrition. Now, long chain acyl-CoA dehydrogenase deficiency can also occur. So these are the minor. Carnitine deficiency also has been reported, mainly in premature infants. Another thing I want to mention, sometimes hypoglycemic-like symptoms also occur due to deficiency of beta oxidation defects. Acetyl-CoA is mainly gives us energy, and this acetyl-CoA is mainly available in the cell by the digestion of glucose,
through glycolysis. But whenever glucose is used up after a feeding meal, then the acetyl-CoA pool in the cell is decreased. Thereby, it always requires some sort of acetyl-CoA generated from the beta oxidation of fatty acids. In case the beta oxidation is deficient, there is some sort of deficiency in the acetyl-CoA, which is reflected as deficiency of the glucose. So hypoglycemia-like symptoms occurs if there is defect in the beta oxidation, and this type of index is also not uncommon. So you must always know the hypoglycemia patient should be properly looked after in this way. Thank you very much. Please go through these cycles and try to understand. If you have any doubts, we'll be able to address your doubts.